a lot of people are starting to talk about AI. And I mean, people will say you're a political commentator, but I think of you more as a philosopher to a large extent. You think about society and the ways that it's changing and where it's going. Do you have thoughts on what AI may mean for humanity?
Not many. I mean, as you say, I sort of straddle both of those divides that you just described. I've looked into it a certain amount. I do think that it's obviously running, the treadmill is running faster than humans can run. And that's a problem. The recent letter signed by Elon and others was a sign of that. The one I'm worried about, frankly, is I'm worried about what happens if America does put a pause on this, because America might put a pause on it, Britain might put a pause on it, but other countries won't. I think there's a risk that it'll become like stem cells, like America ends up like stopping certain research here for profound and important moral reasons, but go to Central America and that's happening all over the place. So my worry with the AI one is that America and advanced democracies say, whoa, but China doesn't. That seems to me to be the worst of all worlds, is that the technology is developed by countries that are already not free, to say the least. But I don't know what to do about that. I don't know what the answer to that is, other than continuing carefully to do it in our own societies. But in the end, you can't actually hold back learning. Is the truth of it, I mean, it's like Gutenberg. Once it's out, you just can't hold it back. You can't stop the printing presses once they start rolling. You can't start the internet once it's turned on. And again, it's probably always been like this, It probably felt the same when gunpowder was first discovered.
Do you feel there's a certain futility to thinking about these things?
Well, not a futility, because it's very interesting, but I think people are misguided if they think that thinking about things like AI and being able to control them are the same thing. I mean, as I say, you can think about gunpowder, but it doesn't win you any battles. You can think about the discovery of the cannon or the invention of the automatic rifle. It doesn't win you any battle. We could think endlessly about the nature of AI, but I think the likelihood that you'll be able to stop it is highly unlikely. I think the one thing that does worry me about it, and it's something which various philosophers have talked about in recent decades, is there is a sort of moment when, arguably you could trace the moment that we're currently in back to that moment in, 1994, when Garry Kasparov played the computer chess and lost. And the notes that Kasparov was making as he went along, there was a very striking note. One of his notes to himself was that he said, the machine isn't calculating, it's thinking. It's a very important moment in the development of what we now call AI. There's another observation on that, which Tom Stoppard wrote in his play The Hard Problem, about the consciousness problem. It's a very interesting, profound play. He mentions that the only time that he says, well, one of the characters says in the play, something I've always been fond of, which is that the machines only really beat the humans when the machine's mind-losing. Because minding-losing is such a huge human drive. Wanting to win, wanting to, come back. I think at this point the machines do mind losing, or very close to it. The one that alarms me more is the issue of memory and human memory, because human memory and machine memory are clearly different things. I mean, I know this from our own lifespans already. There's a sort of weird gap from before the internet era. It was recently actually shown when Jerry Adams of Sinn Féin IRA was back in the news. And somebody mentioned that on the Wikipedia website for Jerry Adams, the only controversy under controversies is when he used the N-word some years ago in passing and got a lot of flack for it.
I mean, it's an explosive issue, Douglas.
It's well said. but he's been involved in more explosive issues in his time. And you would have thought that, and Mr. Adams can sue me if he thinks I'm wrong on this, but you would have thought that a man who was high up in an organization which he's always denied being a member of, and an organization that killed 1,600 people and disappeared mothers and buried their bodies after torturing and shooting them in the back of the head, should be on Wikipedia as a potential controversy. My point is, not to get onto that hobby horse of mine, but my point is that there is this sort of knowledge from before the internet era, which the internet is not capable of holding. It's the same with the television archives. There are things that exist on YouTube only because they exist on YouTube and somebody's posted them. But there's all of this forgotten memory of what was before. Will the machines ever be able to do the things that we have up here? Maybe someday, but it will be different from human memory. I don't relish the world in which the machine can compete with the greatest human mind, because to my mind, one of the things that makes humans humans is having a sense of memory, collective, familial, and much more.
And it also brings forward the discussion about AI art, because I was talking with Andrew Doyle about this, and he said, well, AI can't create art because art is the expression of the human soul. But you see everything that is being created with AI, and it's already so advanced that you think to yourself, is it going to make the artist obsolete?
I don't think that will happen, actually. I mean, certainly what has been produced so far doesn't fool me at any rate. It's currently AI art is, as far as I can see it, a purely parasitic art form. It can only work off what's already there, so it can imitate, and it can imitate pretty well. It actually is quite easy to spot, I would say, at the moment. Some people watching will disagree and will doubtless send in examples that I couldn't spot. I still think that if AI faked a Vermeer, I would be able to tell. I'd be able to tell the difference between the fake and the real. Maybe partly because there are so few Vermeers that one would know, but certain artists might be easier to fake than others. It's not hard to fake a Warhol, because it wasn't hard to make. But will they be able to make advances in perception of the kind that, say, in the 20th century, Picasso and Francis Bacon imagined? Will they be able to push forward the boundaries like that? I doubt it. I think it'll be like in music. I mean, in music, almost everything in film music, for instance, is already imitative, parasitic art. AI can create more of it. But can AI create Stravinsky? I doubt it. I doubt it.